The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Integration that Outperforms, Integrating Dynamics ERP and Magento Ecommerce. My name is Glenn Johnson. I'm a Senior Vice President here at Magic Software Enterprises in the Americas, and I'd like to welcome all of you from around the world for joining us today in today's broadcast. We'll be joined later by Gat, who will be providing us with a demonstration of Magento Ecommerce and Microsoft Dynamics ERP, and so we're looking forward to that demonstration. In today's webinar, we'll actually be spending some time talking about some of the business issues related to integrating your e-commerce platform and also looking at a variety of subjects relating to the changing e-commerce landscape, particularly e-commerce scalability and how important that can be, as well as the various considerations around Magento e-commerce integration and Dynamics ERP integration. We'll then take a moment to explain the solution from Magic Software. If at any time you have questions, we invite you to enter them into the chat box or the questions box, and we'll take our time to answer those questions with you at the time that the formal presentation is concluded. So let's begin. The changing e-commerce landscape is one that causes us to ask, what are the important changes that are affecting e-commerce in 2014 and beyond? Certainly, this is a growing field. There are changes taking place in the marketplace, dynamic growth in sales, of course, via the online channel on e-commerce. It would be one of the first things that we would notice. For example, just the non-travel portion of e-commerce sales are nearing $300 billion in 2014 and will likely reach $434 billion by 2017, according to eMarketer. And we know that online sales, in addition to the travel sector, has a variety of different segments that are quite strong in terms of various industries. And those of you who are joining us today probably have, in some cases, specific industry interests, and in other cases, you may have a broader retail perspective as to the types of solutions that you're offering. There are 5 aspects of the trends that are taking place in 2014 that we want to discuss. Web commerce and this dynamic growth that we just mentioned being the first, but we also want to look at mobile commerce, or m-commerce as some call it, and see what's happening in this arena in terms of its growth. Look at some of the conceptual ideas related to e-commerce, local commerce, social commerce, and daily commerce before moving on. So the explosion in mobile commerce has been demonstrated by studies that show that nearly half of all mobile users have already at this point purchased a digital product online. 1 in 4 have purchased clothing. 1 in 5 have purchased travel, entertainment, and physical products, mostly with credit cards, on their mobile device. And so these reports by the Baymard Institute are showing us that there's tremendous growth in these various segments. And that's exciting for us to see the number of users as well as the volume of dollars that are coming in these segments. And the number of users versus the number of purchases versus the average purchase per session are all, of course, different, and they tend to vary based on segment. Local commerce, of course, is this idea of what happens in the brick-and-mortar world, in the real world, and there are kind of 2 dimensions to this. One is that mobile commerce in particular, as well as e-commerce in general, are impacting what happens in store. So the term local commerce is used to describe sort of the transition from online to offline purchases that can be triggered by buy-in-store buttons, So we certainly see that impact. You're on a website, and then you decide, gosh, I want to go pick it up today. And I know that they have retail locations nearby, but which ones have this in stock? And so that buy in store kind of option is something that is very powerful. And I think most of us as consumers at this point, tech-savvy consumers in particular, probably use this function. You've had that experience of walking in the store, going to the will call desk, usually which is at the customer service desk right in the front of the store, and your product waiting for you. It's just ready to go out the door. And you may have already paid for it online, or you may pay for it in store. You usually have both options. So that's an exciting trend, and one that is adding powerfully to the sales capabilities of brick-and-mortar enterprises, so that they can augment their sales not only through online sales, but also through local commerce. There's also the in-store comparison shopping that's taking place by savvy consumers, and this provides a online marketer with a in-store environment available to them to provide very localized special offers for those who are in the store at the moment. When you, if you will, catch your customer doing some comparison shopping online, you can begin to provide them with offers that are highly targeted to what the customer is searching for or their particular customer experience. It's kind of like, hey, wait, don't leave. You're getting a 20% off here that maybe they wouldn't have obtained otherwise if they hadn't gone online and did that search, and the geolocation information informed the generic advertiser that you're in their store and you're searching for products, and they'll make your offer available to your consumer. That kind of thing is very powerful, and as well as the comparison aspects of what's going on in local commerce. Closely related is the social commerce tactics. And social commerce, of course, is the whole idea that our social media websites and various kinds of social communication tools that are out there are being utilized for commerce, that are being utilized usually in two ways. One is more of an advertising or promotion or peer-to-peer selling and advice kind of tactic. And the other is where the actual site itself is able to sell a product and conduct commerce on your behalf. Both are valid options, and depending upon the social site, that may or may not be supported functionality. But you're going to find that there are a rising number of tactics that are available to online marketers in order to create demand, and these are going to cause the need for integration between your e-commerce platform and the social platform. So as we look at what's taking place with these various social platforms and social commerce tactics, there are some very interesting things going on in the marketplace. Now, daily deals are another aspect that can be quite interesting for the online marketer as well, because the daily deal sites that are out there tend to aggregate large numbers of buyers who have an interest, shoppers who have an interest in deals, and then they promote deals, en masse or through targeted profiling to various groups of users in order to try to give them special value and give you the ability to reach consumers with special deals. Now, some of these are very large sites like Living Social and Groupon. Others are, kind of fly-by-night, less well-known. So there's a lot of consolidation that's already taken place in this area. businesses that have come and gone here, but also others that are emerging. So I suspect that daily commerce tactics are something that many of you are taking advantage of and will continue to take advantage of as a means of promoting your e-commerce presence and building various kinds of crowdsourced sorts of business opportunities for your e-commerce websites. Now here again, each of these tend to offer their own APIs so that you can incorporate that into what's taking place on your e-commerce site. And there's a need for some intermediation between that API and the way that your e-commerce platforms communicate. And so this is a conversation that a number of e-commerce marketers are having with their technical people in the IT department, is how do we get all this to work together? And it just seems to be changing constantly. And so having a platform to deal with that is always a good idea. Well, all of these tactics that hopefully work, all of these trends which tend to say that they are working, suggest that the scale is increasing. And so we want to ask what factors impact e-commerce scalability and what can be done to improve integration scalability. These are two separate questions. One is the scalability of the e-commerce platform itself. And the second question is, what is the scalability of the integration platform and the back-end ERP system? Will the ERP system keep up? Will the integration to the ERP system keep up? So that when you're doing things like real-time inventory checks, when you're doing things like recording individual orders in the back-end system, are you going to be able to do that in an efficient manner, getting responses and information the way that you want? It's the synchronization that needs to take place in terms of master item data occurring in an efficient manner, and so forth. So e-commerce, of course, is the buying and selling of process for these various products and services through the online environment. And a successful e-commerce website has to be efficiently architected for potentially very high volumes of traffic, high amounts of buyers and high amounts of buying taking place. And in particular, the seasonal spikes in demand for the holiday seasons, the Black Fridays, the Cyber Days, the day after Christmas, the Boxing Days, and so on, that all have larger traffic are going to be particularly important for you to take a look at, because if you don't, then your website can suffer poor performance, delays, errors in processing, up to and including total system failure. And obviously, no one's going to be happy if that happens, not your customers, and certainly not your management. So the way to avoid that is, a big focus of what we want to talk about today. E-commerce servers and platforms typically are hosted using different or separate physical or virtual servers for the web interface, such as Apache, PHP, or IIS servers, and the back-end SQL database, such as Oracle, DB2, MS SQL, or MySQL. This is viewed as a way of segregation of duties, if you will, in the IT aspect of what's going on, so that you have more efficiency. You can separate out the job of each of these servers. It's also true from a practical standpoint that this is just the way these technologies have developed over time. But you will get some scale out of that, but certainly there's a lot more that needs to take place tactically. And this is going to have to do with the e-commerce platform itself. The e-commerce platform doesn't run the entire enterprise, however. So ERP systems, CRM, PLM, supply chain management are commonly integrated with e-commerce platforms for purpose of financial transactions, customer records, product master data, supplier management needs, and so on, depending upon which of the target systems we're talking about. So this is an area where we need to look at the scalability as well. How can the integration to these back-end systems also survive Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Boxing Day, and so on. So when we look at Magento, there are a number of options. Magento is one of the e-commerce platform leaders. It's got a very flexible solution. It's scalable. The Magento platform is used by more than 150,000 e-commerce sites, including some very major brands that put it to the test, that put it through the ringer. So Magento Ecommerce has some integration considerations that we want to discuss. First of all, how can you really implement your integration in a way that's going to outperform the competition and make your site the most responsive customer experience that's possible. You can choose, first of all, when you're setting up Magento, when you're choosing which Magento system to use, between Magento Community and Magento Enterprise to develop your solution. Now, you should be very aware that if scalability is a major issue, Magento Enterprise is the most scalable Magento solution and delivers its best performance on an optimized infrastructure. So it's not only a matter of choosing Magento Enterprise, but also optimizing your infrastructure for Magento Enterprise. So it's important as well, then once you've done that, to consider the scalability of the integration solutions that are connecting Magento to the back-end systems as well. And real-time integration requires a robust, scalable integration platform. So there are two pieces there that you're going to want to evaluate very closely. Magento Enterprise Edition is designed for high performance and scalability. It includes enterprise class features, flexibility to create a tailored e-commerce solution and experience. It also includes site marketing features to drive traffic, conversion, and revenue. So not only are you getting scale, but you're getting the tools to help you achieve that scale. Now, tools alone are not going to do that. It's not just a matter of if we build it, they will come, obviously. But assuming that you have a successful and powerful brand, and assuming that you have marketing tactics that are effective, scale will occur. And it's important then to look at what's happening on the back end as well. So Magento Enterprise includes an API. That API gives you the flexibility to create rich, differentiated consumer experiences from desktop to mobile, connect to point-to-point programs, or even integration platforms such as Magic XPI. And we'll talk about how that integration platform really gives you that maximum scalability. Scalability factors to be considered in terms of e-commerce are things like your size of catalog, the average browsing time per user, the average and the peak number of visitors per day, the average orders per day, the peak orders per hour and per day, peak orders per hour and per day during holiday seasons or times of greatest buying in your site and market, the number of concurrent admin users, the number of fields per SKU, and link the product data per field, as well as things like the number of categories and brands, et cetera, that differentiate your catalog, your e-commerce environment, and your approach to your customers. So all of these impact scalability and need to be looked at not as enemies, but simply as factors. And as these factors increase, and as you have more and more of these things taking place, then you need a more scalable, responsive environment, and you need to take the measures necessary in order to ensure that your environment is scalable. So from an architecture standpoint, many IT departments expect integration architecture to be behind the enterprise firewall or behind a cloud firewall. This is for security purposes. And separate servers for web, data, payment processing, and integration are normal in these architectural setups. For maximum elastic scalability and high availability and reliability, your integration architecture should use in-memory computing techniques, such as an in-memory data grid. We see these as the architectural moves that you can take to make sure that you have a scalable integration backend supporting your e-commerce platform. Now, when we look at Dynamics ERP and the integration considerations there, we remind ourselves that ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, And Microsoft ERP solutions are offered under a brand, the Microsoft Dynamics brand. So there's more than one ERP system to consider here. Microsoft Dynamics ERP, of course, is software that allows companies of various sizes to manage their entire business, including the supply chain, procurement, human resources, financials, projects, and so on. So when we look at the three Microsoft Dynamics products, they are Microsoft Dynamics Nav or Navision, Microsoft Dynamics GP or Great Plains, and Microsoft Dynamics AX or Exapta. And the current information is shown here for some of these solutions. We want to draw your attention really to the bottom two rows. The integration API methodology, because it's different for each of these platforms. With Navision, everything is done through SOAP Web Services in terms of the API methodology. Now people say, well, what about the database? On any of these, you can directly address a database. It's not recommended. It's not recommended because of the fact that you're dealing with transactional systems, and transactions have complex relationships that are understood by the software itself and not just the database. So, you know, it's generally not supported by the vendors of these transaction-oriented software solutions. They'll simply say if you're writing direct to the database, then your implementation is unsupported. So you need to use the API. The APIs that are provided in the case of Navision are SOAP Web Services. Great Plains has the SOAP Web Services, and then in addition to that, a COM API. Dynamics has the SOAP Web Services and a COM API. It also has .NET, MSMQ, and XML API components. So that gives you the most options in terms of the various technologies that can be used. There's nothing wrong with any of these technologies. You could certainly use them in creating your implementation. So Dynamics ERP and e-commerce touchpoints are going to really take you into areas where when you're working with Magento in the same organization, there's a need to intermediate the API in order to allow the real-time and or asynchronous business processes between systems, so real-time or batch, real-time or near real-time. And these interfaces between systems help manage the actual business that you're conducting, the e-commerce storefronts, shopping carts, inventory, by enabling business processes for invoicing, for stock management, product management, order tracking, and others that are spanning functionalities in both systems, in both the ERP and the e-commerce platform. So the challenge, of course, is that the APIs each speak a different language. So even though Dynamics provides a SOAP Web Service, and even though Magento provides a way of communicating, the structure of the databases and the structure of the fields that are supported in these APIs are different. There are ontological differences, if you will, between the systems that need to be intermediated through some kind of a data mapping exercise where you can apply logic. And then, of course, you need a robust environment for keeping track of, you know, how that communication and messaging is occurring between the two systems. Was the messaging successful? If not, you know, what do we do? What is our business logic for a transaction? Do we return an error message to the other system? Do we make it wait a little bit longer? Try again? You know, what's the approach here? So those are all implementation decisions on your part that allow you to take advantage of the integration capabilities of an integration platform if you have that available. That's really the requirement. So the Magic XPI integration platform is really the star in class because it provides a scalable architecture for connectivity to mobile apps, to integration back-end systems, whether you have 5 clients, 500,000, doesn't matter. Magic XPI integration platform has a space-based architecture using in-memory data grid technology for elastic scalability and always-on reliability. And more than any other enterprise mobility solution, Magic offers enterprise-grade reliability and big data handling capabilities through unlimited virtual, vertical, and horizontal scaling, which we'll explain here so that you can get a look at that. So let's kind of shift from the business discussion to the more directly technical discussion of how do we accomplish this. The Magic XPI integration platform provides a comprehensive enterprise architecture for integration. So it allows you to work with the various databases and frameworks and technologies, protocols, as well as the enterprise applications such as Magento and Dynamics and so on. And then it provides you with a platform by which you can orchestrate the business logic, transform the data, route messages, engage in transactions, and then monitor and manage all of those business process flows that are taking place. This all takes place on a highly robust platform or server, which gives you grid deployment, can be deployed in private cloud or on-premise. It uses a shared nothing architecture, which will explain this whole in-memory approach, which allows you to do synchronous and asynchronous messaging. It maintains context, it's highly scalable, and supports all of your enterprise security standards. So when we look at Magic XPI, it provides an open and collaborative way of working so that you can streamline business processes and achieve transparency between all of your various applications, databases, and platforms in your IT environment. It allows you to securely control and monitor business processes, the data, the logic, the information, and it allows you to work in both real-time and asynchronous manners. The result is smooth running business processes that are going to reduce your operational costs, improve revenue and performance, and reduce business risk by having a smooth integration processes taking place. And we do this using a code-free, in other words, no line-by-line programming, and it's a metadata-driven integration studio. So it's all Visual Studio-like and very nice. The user-friendly tools that are used to accomplish this have things like built-in debuggers and checkers so that from an IT perspective, you have complete control and visibility of what's going on and complete elastic scalability as well. So when we look at what you actually get with Magic XPI, you get a Magic XPI Studio. That studio includes a business process editor. That business process editor gives you a high-level visualization of what's taking place in your business processes. It's suitable to give a Visio-like presentation to your business users so that they understand what it is that you plan to do. You can gain agreement, and then you can drill down from that to individual flows. Your flow editor is where most of your work is done in the Magic XPI Studio, and that is actually describing step-by-step what needs to take place in each instance of a business process. Now, the topology editor is simply a tool for identifying what is included in your IT environment. It provides a naming convention for that, and so that you can, for example, have the the Chicago Magento server or whatever. And within the use of the flow editor, you have important capabilities such as data mapping and the ability to run a checker and a debugger so that once you've designed your process and as you're iteratively designing it, you can step through and see that everything is working properly. You also can see that through the green section here, that Magic XPI Monitor. The Magic XPI Monitor looks at what's going on in the back end in the Magic XPI server and provides you with a log of each process that you've asked it to log and a dashboard view of the overall statistics of what's going on in the Magic XPI server so that you can see things like average execution times or latency. You can see if there have been errors and so forth, and then if you go into the log, you can actually have attachments to steps within a process so that you can have a nice audit trail for the integration process as well, and one that can be utilized both for IT purposes, for seeing exactly what's happening, as well as I mentioned, for audit purposes if that should become necessary. It also provides an additional benefit. Having this integration environment means that you can also integrate your back-end systems with mobile devices, so that if you have custom e-commerce needs where you want to have specialized apps, gamification is a hot topic in the industry today. You want to be able to integrate e-commerce functions into a gamified mobile app, then by all means, the Magic XPI integration platform is ideal for that because of its robustness and its ability to deal with scale and provide that complete, transparent interaction with your back-end business, including e-commerce capabilities. The scalability of Magic XPI is based on an in-memory data grid technology. In-memory data grids provide fault tolerance, redundancy, and scalability to deal with the flood of integration data that's taking place. It's what we call a high-end shared nothing architecture. The result of that architecture is that you have sub-second failover and extreme redundancy and scalability. Now, the elasticity that occurs gives you enterprise-grade reliability. How does it do this? Well, there are techniques: write-back, dynamic scaling, and co-location of processing and memory spaces, so you can visualize this grid that scales both horizontally and vertically, that has spaces which are comprised of processing power, certain number of threads, and memory, certain amount of dynamic memory. And because memory is so much faster than hard disk interaction, the traditional methods of other systems, you have a very powerful, scalable environment that's virtually unlimited in terms of its ability to take advantage of the available hardware in your environment. So this is all really a software-based solution that then sits on top of the hardware that you can supply to the solution. So we've got a lot of details on that are available to you. Magic Software is a company that's empowering customers with business platforms for applications and system integration. We've been doing this for over 30 years, and our in-memory data grid technology integration performance is highly enhanced with this right behind co-location of memory processing and auto-scaling. And we invite you to contact us if you'd like to learn more about how these solutions can address your needs for Magento Ecommerce and Dynamics ERP integration, including the transactional integration processes, multi-channel deployment across desktop, web, and mobile environments. So I want to thank you for listening to the formal part of the presentation here today. If you need to schedule a demo, please contact us at 949-250-1718 or info@magicsoftware.com. And if you're outside of North America, you can find contact details for your local area on our website at www.magicsoftware.com. So once again, we want to thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having your participation again in the future on another Magic Software webinar.